My 14-year-old nephew, Charlie, asked me to put together a workout plan to make him stronger and more injury resistant for soccer. So, of course, I'm all excited about this. I'm pumped. I go tell my wife about it, and she says, "Ah, that's so cute." I had to push back. It's not cute. More like ridiculously awesome, or maybe extremely badass, and probably 3 or 4 other things I could say if they weren't algorithm crushing for a public facing video like this. But that's so cute is not what this is, Andrea. I talk all the time about older guys staying strong, building muscle, staying resilient, becoming hard to kill. And yeah, no doubt, it's never too late to start. But like anything in life, starting early is a massive advantage. Muscle is metabolic currency. The sooner you start building up that bank account, the better. This kid is about to build the strength and armor plating he wants for soccer. But honestly, whether he knows it yet or not, this goes way beyond soccer. He'll learn how to move well, get stronger, stay injury resistant. He'll be less likely to get injured in the first place, but when he does, he'll bounce back faster. He'll also get comfortable being uncomfortable and doing difficult things. Pretty nice thing to add to anyone's skill stack. And that alone probably puts him ahead of about 95% of all people of any age. He'll learn that consistency matters, and he'll have a go-to outlet for stress relief for the rest of his life. And look, most of you already know the concept of exercising your dog so it doesn't lose its mind and tear up your house. Same deal with teenagers. These guys are a little bit frontal, meaning the frontal lobe isn't fully online yet. That's the part of your brain responsible for judgment, impulse control, planning, not doing dumb crap, all the stuff you wish came standard by the time your kid is almost adult size, but it doesn't. And now you pour surging hormones on top of that? Yeah, you've got to exercise these guys for their mental health and honestly for yours. Starting early doesn't just build a better athlete, it creates a better human. No judgment here, though. When I was my nephew's age, I did a ton of dumb stuff. Probably more than I can remember. But I still do remember being 14 and walking into the gym for the first time. That changed my whole trajectory. And now that I'm an old guy and hopefully wiser, here's the truth from your Uncle Mike. We're all athletes in the sport of life. And the stronger and more resilient you are, the longer you stay in the game and the more chances you get to win. I hope he sticks with it, the soccer and the lifting. And if he becomes a pro athlete or whatever other great success he has and decides to buy his Uncle Mike a helicopter as a thank you for my small contribution, that's fine too. And speaking of 14, let me back up a little and give you some context. My years leading up to that, I was a painfully shy kid, and for a while there, I was pretty chubby. Not exactly a killer combo when you're trying to be liked, or in some fantasy world, maybe even be perceived as cool. There you are, hanging out on the block with your friends, thinking you're fitting in. Then someone drops something like, "Hey Mikey, you've got bigger boobs than my sister." Real character building stuff. Then you think you're about to get some sweet new threads for the new school year. This is the year you'll finally look cool. But the only jeans that fit you are the tough skins with the giant husky label stitched on the back. And other 11-year-olds have excellent eyesight. They see this stuff. Seriously, the freaking pants actually said husky on them. And I remember looking out the front window of the house, watching some kids breakdancing, spinning on your back, flipping around and crap on a piece of cardboard, doing stupid moves to make you look cool when you were a kid in the 80s. So I walked out there and tried to join in, and they couldn't even come up with something more creative than, "Nah, man, you're too fat to break dance." And I'm not trying to turn this into a sob story or claim some unresolved trauma, although I guess I am still talking about it 40 years later. Seriously, though, it's something I worked through a long time ago. A couple of years in the gym, and I went from a shy, chubby kid to a 220-pound 16-year-old who could deadlift 500 pounds for reps. So I did not get picked on much in high school. In fact, remember those other jerk kids from earlier? Some people would call them bullies. Actually, you know what? Let me check the statute of limitations on a few things before telling you the rest of this story. I'll get back to you on this. Okay, moving on. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're like, all right, Mike, we get it. You're all fired up because your brother's kid is suddenly into the same thing you started doing at his age and that you still love and obsess over. And yeah, that's fair. Guilty. Lifting has made my life better in pretty much every way. And it's something I recommend to everyone and basically insist all my patients do, whether they want to hear it or not. But this isn't just me getting sentimental and misty-eyed about deadlifts. There's actual data showing this really is as awesome as I'm making it sound. Early training pays off fast. The crazy thing is how fast this stuff kicks in. Within just a few weeks, you get stronger. Not because you magically built 20 pounds of muscle, but because your nervous system starts firing better. And even with just 2 days per week, 30 to 60 minutes per session, you start seeing improvements. You don't need to live in the gym. You mostly just need to show up. Teen mental health. This part is huge. Look, for teenagers especially, the mental health side might be the biggest one of all. Resistance training cuts depressive symptoms in teens in a really big way. We're talking moderate to large reductions. And a lot of the research shows it actually beats out aerobic exercise for mood, anxiety, sleep, and stress. It gives structure, it gives mastery, it gives social connection, and it builds confidence fast. Cognitive performance goes up too. Think all this stuff is going to turn your kid into a stupid meathead? Wrong. Most people don't realize that lifting also makes kids sharper, better attention, better processing speed, better memory, and even better academic performance. Some studies even show kids doing better on a math test taken right after a lifting session. So yeah, the physical stuff is awesome, but the brain benefits are real and honestly underrated. The physical and metabolic advantages at this age are insane. The teenage years are where strength, power, and endurance explode if you train. He'll get stronger, leaner, improve insulin sensitivity, improve lipids, and improve cardiovascular fitness. And because he's in a growth phase, his body responds fast. This is where you want them to build muscle and bone, not when they hit 40 and realize they should have started sooner. Injury resistance skyrockets. Resistance training massively reduces sports injuries. Better movement mechanics, better neuromuscular control, better strength reserves. That stuff is protective gear, and the kind you can't buy in a store. We're talking about building your own armor plating. For building bone density, this is the window. Cardio has its place, but it doesn't touch bone density like lifting does. In teenage years are when bone density gains stick. You're basically pouring concrete for their future skeleton. And if you want to get all warm and fuzzy about it, I can't think of a more inclusive activity. It works for the strong kid, the shy kid, the awkward kid, the kid who hates sports, the kid who just needs a win. It's a huge confidence multiplier. Weight training builds psychological resilience, confidence, self-esteem, mood, body image, all of that improves. Teenagers who lift carry themselves differently. It changes how they show up in every part of their lives. And we can't leave out the long-term longevity benefits. If he sticks with this long-term, the benefits are insane. We're talking 15 to 27% lower all-cause mortality, lower cardiovascular risk, lower cancer mortality, better mobility, better independence, lower risk of disability and age-related decline. Lifting literally adds quality years to life. As I alluded to earlier, making you listen to my own story about growing up and finding lifting, starting young sets the trajectory. People who start early are way more likely to keep training into adulthood. And that means lower lifetime risk of chronic disease, better physical function, and way less of that slow slide into frailty that starts for most people in their 40s and 50s, eventually leaving them disabled in their 60s and 70s. Starting now puts them decades ahead. And for all of you who have listened this far and still don't give a damn about any of these awesome benefits for your kid, and you're just thinking how you can't wait for them to get out of the house, I'm extrapolating here, but this data sounds to me like your kid lifting weights might decrease the chances of him still living in your basement when he's 40. Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!